It has officially been stated that the sequel to Avengers Endgame is going to be Avengers Doomsday. This means that whatever happened in Avengers Endgame is directly triggering the events of Avengers Doomsday. And this actually makes a lot of sense, because the Loki variant we saw in Endgame eventually becomes the custodian of the multiverse. In Endgame, we see a version of Gamora who comes from another timeline and starts living in the main MCU universe. This version of Gamora has not yet caused any incursion, but the most important thing is that Captain America creates a new timeline in order to fulfill his promise. And from that newly created timeline, Gunnar Dr. Doom is born. Earlier, I was going to present this as just a theory, but now I am bringing it to you as part of my what-if style story. So watch till the end, because today you are going to see Tony Stark becoming Doom, not Iron Man. When Steve Rogers goes back to return the Infinity Stones, his first stop is Vormir, where he returns the Soul Stone by throwing it from the top of the cliff. But here a problem occurs. The Soul Stone cannot be returned in the same way as the other stones because Hada Life was sacrificed to obtain it. Because of this, the Soul Stone leaves behind a residual energy that attaches itself to Steve. Steve believes the Soul Stone has been returned, but in reality its energy remains within him. After this, Steve goes to Asgard, where he returns the Ether Reality Stone to Frigga in its stone form. Using her magic and the Reality Stone, Frigga places it back inside Jane Foster, exactly like we saw in Thor: The Dark World. Next, Steve goes to the Ancient One to return the Time Stone. The Ancient One then recreates all the artifacts properly. The Your Space Stone is returned inside the Tesseract. The Mind Stone is placed back into the Scepter. The Power Stone is returned to its orb. This ensures that when Steve places them back in their original timelines, no imbalance occurs. However, when Steve finally decides to stay back and fulfill his promise to dance with Make and Peggy Carter, a new timeline is created. This happens because Loki, not Kang, is now controlling the multiverse, and he allows new timelines to exist. The Russo brothers themselves once clarified that the time travel in Endgame creates branch timelines, not closed loops. In this new timeline, Steve goes to meet Peggy, but the Ancient One teleports him to Kamartaj. As the Sorcerer Supreme, it is her duty to monitor all threats to reality. Because of Steve's arrival, two versions of Steve Rogers now exist, one fighting Red Skull and one standing before the Ancient One. The Ancient One tells Steve that the residual Soul Stone energy inside him is destabilizing this universe. She explains that this timeline will not survive unless that energy is removed. Steve agrees, trusting her judgment. The Ancient One destroys the residual Soul Stone energy inside him, creating a massive shockwave across Earth. However, the energy is not destroyed. It disperses across the planet. This triggers the X gene. Historically, around in 1945, Magneto first displayed his magnetic powers, so it can be said that mutants were born because of Steve Rogers in this timeline. We have already seen in the MCU that Wanda and Pietro Maximoff gained powers from the Mind Stone. At that time, Marvel did not own the X-Men rights, so they were not called mutants. Otherwise, they would have been. Thus, the Soul Stone's residual energy becomes the source of mutant kind. Now, major MCU heroes are never created in this universe. Steve later returns to the plane where he was originally fighting Red Skull. Instead of Red Skull, Steve grabs the Tesseract and teleports to Vormir. Following a deleted Endgame scene idea suggested by War Machine, Steve captures Red Skull and jumps from the plane at the perfect moment. Steve becomes a hero in this timeline, defeats Hydra, saves Bucky Barnes and fulfills his promise to Peggy. After that, he meets Ancient One to help her to find Steve. But Ancient One tells him that he is missing. Maybe he has evaporated or gone to a place where even magic can't find him. In this scenario, Steve decides that he has to stay in this timeline and fulfill Steve's absence. In this new timeline, Tesseract is found. Only four people know about the Tesseract in this timeline: Steve Rogers, Peggy Carter, Bucky Barnes, Howard Stark. Together, they try to create a war-free world. Howard continues working secretly for the US government and himself. This attracts the attention of the King of Latveria. Steve convinces Howard to spend more time with Tony and Maria Stark, knowing Tony lacked his father's presence. During a trip to Latveria, it is revealed to be a trap. The Latverian king attempts to steal Howard's advanced Tesseract-based technology. Howard and Maria are killed. Tony's face is severely burned. Everyone believes Tony died, but he survives. Tony wanders through Latveria, rejected everywhere. But one day when a lady is being burnt in front of everyone as a witch, Tony can't control himself and he tries to save her. After which, what happens is that her other side's face also burns. Suddenly there is smoke there, and someone disappears Agatha with Tony from there, which is none other than Natalia Maximoff, the mother of Wanda. It is revealed here that Agatha lost her own son in search of magic power, and that's why she didn't want to live. But here Natalia explains to Agatha that what you are trying to do is not right. And look at the game of fate that you wanted to become because your son died, but the one who saved you is the same child whose parents died. This can't be a coincidence. And in today's time, who will try to save a burning witch? Agatha thinks Natalia is right, and she does a fusion magic on Tony's face. While the world can see Agatha's son's face there, Agatha and Natalia can only see Tony's burnt face. Agatha says that, if I want, I can fix your faces before, but that magic will have a very big price. I have already lost my son, and I will not make that mistake again. Tony says that as you wish, because Tony was also getting a family here, and he was happy that despite having his burnt face, his family accepts him. After this, Tony starts living with them and starts learning magic. Apart from this, with the help of his genius mind, the nomad tribe with which he was living also starts making his life easy, which draws the attention of the Latvian king, and after that, the king takes some actions. If we talk about Steve, then he starts establishing peace in the other world, where a new problem had come. Where in the main timeline, Captain Marvel had originated by having Tesseract's shield. That does not happen in this timeline, because Tesseract was hidden by Steve. Now, if Captain Marvel did not become, then Nick Fury never went in the path of Alien or Avengers Initiative. And that's why Avengers did not become in this universe. Now, because Captain America is there, and he is fighting from the front line, then there was no need to recreate Super Soldier Serum in the US. And that's why Hulk was never made. But in other countries, Super Soldier Serum was tried to recreate, because of which some super soldiers were made. But they all failed. And after that, the government started focusing on training mutants, because slowly the population of mutants also started increasing, and the problem of mutants started, which Steve was handling. Steve remembers that thing of Tony at such a time, which he said in the Endgame that if you play with time, then it will also play with you, which was clearly visible here. Steve tries to handle it well, in which Charles also helps him, and the story of X-Men is going on there, in which we get to see the clash of Magneto versus Charles, and X-Men is also seen forming. On the other hand, the steps of the Latvian king towards the nomads. Because of that, Tony gets angry, and because now he had magical knowledge. And with a little scientific mind, he starts a war against the Latvian king. Because first of all, if Tony is an orphan today, then it was because of him. And even after that, when he is living here peacefully, then also the Latvian king has a problem, and he was pinning him, which made Tony very angry, and he killed the Latvian king. After which Tony came to know some truth, where he came to know about the inventions of Tesseract and his dad, which were much ahead of time. As soon as Tony comes to know this, he goes to talk to Steve, because Steve and Peggy knew his dad the most. When Tony talks to Steve, he doesn't believe that he is Tony, because of Agatha's illusion magic, everyone can see Nicholas's face. But when Tony says something, which only happened between him and Steve in his childhood, then Steve recognizes him. But then that illusion is removed from his face, and Steve sees Tony's burnt face. Tony understands that something is wrong, because if the magic is over, it means that the one who has cast that magic is dead. That's why Tony uses his magical powers to reach Latveria. But it was too late. There he asks his aunt Natalia what happened, to which she says that when you killed the king, his followers took out their anger on us. Now, because I was pregnant, I was not able to use my powers, and I fainted, after which Agatha came in my protection, and then drove them away from here. After that, they came with new weapons. To counter that, Agatha used her magical powers, and she took power loans from some demon gods, and drove them away from here. After that, she herself died. As soon as Tony hears this, he gets even more angry, and he goes to kill those people from the roots. Tony's anger was so intense that he couldn't see that. Because of this, the common people are also getting hurt. That's when Natalia comes to him and says, "Tony, stop all this." Agatha wouldn't have wanted all this. You wanted to be Latveria's savior, but now you are becoming Doom. So Tony says that I am not a savior. These people have snatched my family from me not once but twice, and I will never forgive them for this. Tony is getting out of control here. That's when Natalia uses all the chaos magic she had left and restrains Tony first, and tells him that if he has to become Doom, then become for those people because of whom this world has become so bad that so many children like you have become orphans in this world. Both of your parents died doing a good deed, and now if you will do such cruelty and destruction, then you will also become the same against whom Howard and Agatha died fighting. Saying this, Natalia calms him down, and tears come from Doom's eyes here. Seeing this, Natalia first of all fixes the face of Doom. And with her chaos magic, she upgrades her armor with magic. Tony asks, "Why are you doing this?" "Because if you do this, then you will never be able to use magic again." To which Natalia says that your mom died saving me. And she was very close to me. You are also like my child, so your protection is my responsibility. Anyway, Agatha died saving Wanda and her family. So I can do this much for you. Just don't misuse this power. After this, Tony becomes the king of Liberia and then establishes peace. Then we see that Tony, Steve, Charles, and Ancient One together make a perfect world where mutants are also living well. They are also getting along well with Asgard in space, and they are #1 in spreading peace in the universe. And there are no such major events here. But one day Peggy dies of old age, after which Steve leaves this universe and goes to his own universe. And in that universe, he gives the shield to Sam. Basically, this is the same scene which we saw at the end of Avengers Endgame, where Sam was given the shield by the captain. After this, we see that Sam takes the shield and leaves from there, and Steve remains there. Then we see that Tony comes from behind, who has actually become Doom. He comes and tells that there is a big threat in our world and we need your help, on which Steve says that I came just now. But Doom says that what can we do now? On which Steve says that, tell me when to start, and Tony replies that now. And with this episode ends. How did you like our today's story? You can tell us in the comments section, like and share in our video. That will also be enough for us. See you in a new video with a new topic. Till then, bye-bye.